10 fragrances that everyone should own. Hi everyone, I'm Jolima and welcome back to my channel, Scented Moments, where we discuss everything about perfumes. So in this video I have here 5 niche and 5, technically 6 designers, but I will get there. Designer fragrances. I will not mention them in a specific order, and I consider these fragrances some of the best fragrances in the market that everyone should experience and own to build a very well-rounded, curated fragrance collection. So without further ado, let's get started. The first fragrance from the house of Chanel, this one is Allure Homme Edition Blanche. This is so good, and it's one of my all-time favorite perfumes. This one is, to me, the best fresh fragrance from Chanel in the men's side of things. But honestly, if you are a woman and you love just fresh fragrances, I think you definitely should try this one. This is very lemony, very bright, spicy with a bit of that black pepper, but it has such a wonderful vanilla with sandalwood. In the end, this is a perfect mix of fresh with gourmand touches. Very unique, very well executed, and it's really a staple for me for the summer. But quite honestly, this is signature scent worthy. Performance, actually, it's quite nice on my skin. I mean, average. My version, this is the Eau de Parfum, and I think now you just have the Eau de Parfum available. So I really advise if you to try this one, especially if you are in the market for a fresh fragrance. This is one of the best out there. It's Chanel Allure Homme Edition Blanche. In the niche side of things, we have a fragrance from the house of Andy Tower. It's a benchmark in terms of amber fragrances, is Au Coeur du Désert. One of the best amber fragrances out there. This is the extrait version of L'Air du Désert Marocain, which is a classic and one of the best fragrances of the century, but I also consider this as one of the best fragrances of the century. And this is more than just an extrait version. I think this is like the second chapter of L'Air du Désert Marocain. While L'Air du Désert Marocain is more airy, more dry, more spicy, here it's more thick, more heavy, more intense, and it's just wonderful. More balsamic and very ambery, very thick, and it's just to die for, really. It's, again, one of the best fragrances in the market, one that everyone should at least try, but to me, everyone should own Au Coeur du Désert, and quite honestly, even L'Air du Désert Marocain, both from Andy Tower. Now the next fragrance is from the house of Dior, and this one is Dior Homme, but this is the intense version. Now I'm mentioning the intense version just because this is easier to find in this current formulation, which actually it's my favorite. I mean, this fragrance has been around for many years now, but this recent version is my favorite, and this version was released in 2021, if I'm not mistaken. It's rumored that Francisco Jean will re-release this fragrance in the new packaging, but it's also rumored that they will not reformulate the fragrance, so it will keep the same. Let's just hope that it will. But as it stands right now, this is a stunning fragrance. It is iris, of course. It has this makeup-y iris that it's to die for. Slightly buttery, I also would say, but with this cacao, more chocolatey, very musky, suede, woodsy, perfect for date nights. And quite honestly, this is such a sexy fragrance. Sexy, sensual, seductive. It's really a benchmark in terms of sexy fragrances. If you're searching for one, if you're searching for more of a sensual scent, it's Dior Homme Intense, really. Can't go wrong with this one, and the performance is fantastic. Check this one out if you have yet to. The next fragrance, this is a niche from the house of Les Indemodables Vanille, and this currently is the benchmark in terms of sweet tobacco fragrances. And this is not by any means your typical goopy, overly sweet tobacco fragrance. This is not your typical tobacco vanille inspired fragrance. No, completely different from that. This is a very natural smelling vanilla, boozy, with tobacco leaves, a bit leathery, with this chocolate cacao quality. that it's just to die for, really. It's such a beautiful fragrance. I mean, it's the best seller of the brand. And now, Les Indemodables, they have just released the 100 ml version of Vanille. Previously, until this year, they just had 50 ml. But now they have a 100 ml of Vanille. So this just to say how popular and how good this fragrance is. They also have an extrait version of Vanille, which I have in the 10 ml roll-on, which is the only size and the only type of bottle that it's released and produced by Les Indemodables, because it's very thick. It's a very thick liquid. And comparing with this one, which I already did a comparison, but just to briefly mention, comparing the extrait with the Eau de Parfum, extrait, of course, it's richer, and I would say slightly more gourmandy than the original Vanille, but nonetheless absolutely decadent, delicious, addicting. But I would just go with the Eau de Parfum because it's more well balanced. You also have the Coeur de Oud, which is a very limited edition, incredibly expensive. I don't know if it's still around. I do have it, but again, I'm not mentioning it just because it's too expensive and very limited. So Vanille, I mean, everyone should have a sweet tobacco fragrance. So just go with the best in the market nowadays. It's Vanille by Les Indemodables. Now the next two fragrances, and this is the reason why I have technically 6 designer fragrances and not just 5, but these are the same fragrance, just different concentrations, both from the house of Guerlain, and these are Vetiver Eau de Parfum and the Parfum version, which was released last year. Everyone should have a classic, a more classic style of scent. And for this video, I will go with Vetiver, because in the end, it's the benchmark in terms of Vetiver, although not my personal favorite. My personal favorite Vetiver is Chanel Sycamore by from the Les Exclusives. But I mean, I didn't want to mention an exclusive fragrance because it's very expensive, and I will mention later on a designer fragrance, but from their more exclusive line, so I didn't want to mention another one. And quite honestly, this is my second favorite Vetiver fragrance in the end, and considered by many as the best Vetiver. So you are good to go with Guerlain's Vetiver, and this is a fragrance that everyone should try at least once. So the Eau de Toilette, it's a bit more classic with that tobacco Vetiver, natural smelling Vetiver, very grassy and earthy. And this one, it's a more intensified version of the Eau de Toilette, slightly more modern, I would say. It has something in here that it's a bit more rounded. Maybe because of the citruses, like the type of bergamot used in here. Maybe the fresh notes give a more classic style, classic vibe. And here it's not as prominent, but nonetheless it's quite intense. A very rich and very well put together Parfum version of a classic, to be honest. So if you are a fan of the Eau de Toilette version of Vetiver, I think you will be a fan of the Parfum. At least for me, it's the case. And if you are searching for a Vetiver, I mean, just go with one or another. Either you want a more classic style, but still amazing and natural smelling Vetiver, or you want a slightly modernized version of Vetiver, but more intense. So it's really up to you and what you really are searching for. But one or another can't go wrong. Guerlain Vetiver. The next fragrance in the niche side of things, from the house of Frederic Malle. Some say that this is the best Frederic Malle. This is definitely a modern masterpiece, one of the best fragrances released in this century, and it is Portrait of a Lady. This was my very first Frederic Malle, and it's the only one that I have in 50 ml. It's my only regret, to be honest, but still it's pretty full because at the end of the day, this is a very potent fragrance. Portrait of a Lady, it's the benchmark in terms of rose patchouli fragrances. And although the name says Portrait of a Lady, but quite honestly, this might lean even slightly more masculine. So definitely for a man, don't get fooled by the name. Also, at the end of the day, all fragrances are unisex, but still, just because the bottle says Portrait of a Lady doesn't mean that it's marketed for women. But again, always reiterate, that's just pure marketing. All fragrances are unisex. That aside, Portrait of a Lady, like I said, the benchmark in terms of rose patchouli fragrances, with a wonderful spicy raspberry in the opening, and it's just wonderful. Oh, stunning scent. I mean, seriously, this is so beautiful, so intense, so thick, so full of character. And it's really one of the best fragrances of the century. Everyone should at least try, but I think that if you need to have, or if you will have a fragrance from Frederic Malle, better be one of their best, at least, Portrait of a Lady. Now the next fragrance from the house of Tom Ford, and I also believe that everyone should own a Tom Ford, although of course Tom Ford pricing is through the roof. I mean, it's obnoxious really. So is with the overall fragrance industry, but especially with Tom Ford. Although Tom Ford fragrances are readily available in online discounters, Facebook groups, you name it, but you need to be careful because there's a lot of fakes from Tom Ford, especially in the private blend side of things. But this fragrance is not from the private blend, it's from the signature collection. Although this was previously part of the private blend, but this is now part of the signature collection. And it's considered also by many as one of the very best leather fragrances out there, and it is Ombre leather. Ombre leather, I mean, it's so beautiful. It now has two flankers. It has the Parfum, which it's nice, it's okay. I'm not in love with it. It's a nice fragrance. I will not say that it's a intensified version of this or the Parfum version of Ombre leather. I think the Parfum is still a quite different scent, and I'm not too sure. I need to revisit it, to be honest. And last year it was released the Eau d'Ombre leather, which is basically a clone of Rosen Mathieu's 5, and so completely different from Ombre leather, the Eau de Parfum, this one. So my favorite remains the original Eau de Parfum, previously released in the private blend as Ombre Leather 16, because it was released back in 2016. And Ombre Leather is basically a more easier version, easy to wear, easy to like version of Tuscan Leather, which is a modern classic from Tom Ford. Although a lot of people complain in terms of scent, in terms of performance, that it's a shadow of its previous self. So I mean, I don't have it actually. I don't have the private blend, the Tuscan Leather. Maybe I should, just for reference purposes. But then again, I already have Ombre Leather, and I also have Rassasi's La Homme, which to me it's the best, the very best clone. If we are talking about clones, which it's something that I don't talk about because I just really don't agree with clones, and I already talked about this in my previous videos about the issues of clone fragrances, which although I respect everyone who purchase clones, because in the end not everyone is willing to pay crazy amount of money just to smell good, and so that's a very fair point to me. But then again, I just prefer to go with the real deal. But it's just my personal take. It's just me, really. So no shade if you just prefer to go with the clones, to be honest. At the end of the day, Rassasi's La Homme is the best clone that I ever experienced. To me, it smells more like Tuscan Leather that current Tuscan Leather smells like, if that makes sense. So yeah, if you want to experience how a clone should smell like, go with Rassasi's La Homme. So yeah, that's the reason why I don't have Tuscan Leather. But returning to Ombre Leather, this is again an easier version of Tuscan Leather, and it's a bit more airy, a bit more bright, and also a bit more floral. It has like here like an indolic, not so indolic, but it has like a jasmine in here. But overall, it's a lighter take on Tuscan Leather, but still smells amazing. Like the leather smells authentic, like you are inside of a brand new car leather interior. So just stunning with that raspberry on top, and again with this white floral nuance. Stunning scent, mysterious, and it's a benchmark in terms of leather fragrances currently. So it's Tom Ford Ombre Leather. Now the next fragrance, unfortunately I don't have it here, I still have it in Portugal. It's from the house of Profumum Roma, my all-time favorite perfume brand, and the fragrance is Acqua di Sale, which is the best aquatic fragrance in the market, and it for me it's just a stunning, really. One of my all-time favorite perfumes overall. Acqua di Sale is the best representation of how the sea smells. Like it literally, that fragrance smells like you just fill that bottle with seawater, put a bit of some dry driftwoods, and and then you have it. Acqua di Sale, literally how it smells. It's my favorite summer fragrance, my favorite aquatic fragrance, one of my all-time most worn fragrance that I have in my collection, and I have almost 600 bottles, so that says a lot. So, I mean, and everyone should have a fresh aquatic fragrance, so just go with the best. It's Acqua di Sale by Profumum Roma, also one of my most complimented fragrances ever. Now, the next fragrance, this is a designer, but it's from their exclusive line. It's from Hermès, from the Hermès Essence collection, and this is Ambre Narguile. I mean, I needed to feature Ambre Narguile because it's one of the best, if not the best, gourmand fragrance out there. And this was released back in 2005, created by Jean-Claude Ellena. And nowadays there are so many fragrances inspired by Ambre Narguile, and dare I say clones, a lot of clones of Ambre Narguile. So I just really needed to mention the original, the fragrance that really started this sweet, gourmand, ambery trend that it's now forgotten, and it's in the shadows of either Parfum de Malle or Jean, which I actually have and I do appreciate it, but this one ends up being a bit better. Now you have the Angel Share, which I think it's the most hyped fragrance within this genre. And then you have the clones, of course. And I just prefer the original. It's the transparency, it's the coziness, it's the luxury feel. It's just so good at the end. This cozy, sweet tonka bean, slightly boozy, ambery, cinnamon type of scent that feels like a warm blanket, but at the same time feels of luxury, if that makes sense. It's just stunning. Really, it's so good. It smells like Christmas. So comforting, so rich at the same time. Really, it's again the best in the genre. And if you are into this more ambery gourmand category, and if you are into this ambery gourmand type of scent, just go with the best. It's Ambre Narguile by Hermès. And last but by no means least, I believe that everyone should have a high quality oud scent. You have so many. Very expensive and more affordable, but at the end I will suggest this one from the house of Ajmal because it's in the affordable side of things while still being high quality natural smelling oud, and this one is Amir Two. I mean, just look at this beautiful, luxurious looking bottle, and actually the box itself, it's very luxurious as well. Very heavy bottle. Also, this is a 50 ml if I'm not mistaken. I think it's a 50 ml, yes, eau de parfum, and this is a natural smelling oud. It literally smells like a funky, blue cheesy type of oud, like that type of oud that you smell in Frederic Mal's The Night that costs like 1,500 euros. So that one. The type of oud used in here, it's quite similar actually, so it's the highest of qualities. And really, Ajmal, you can't go wrong with an oud based scent from Ajmal. And this one, I believe it's the best oud from Ajmal. It's so good, so intoxicating, just luxurious, but the price, it's quite nice, especially in the online discounters like Notino and so on, because I paid roughly 60 euros for 50 ml, so very good price for the quality. Performance wise is fantastic as well. Really one of my favorite oud fragrances at the moment. And this has oud, it has rose, it has saffron, but the oud, I would say it's the main note in here. Also, you have a leathery touch in the base, but the oud, it's really the main character of Amir Two. So again, everyone should have a high quality oud, and Amir Two is the one. But you have many others. If you want to go more expensive, The Night, I mean, by Frederic Malle. You have Rania J's Uda Sam. You have Kadlaj in the more affordable side of things, a wild Indonesian, a mystical Indian, which I talked about a lot actually. So I mean, you have endless options, but these are the options, and many others that have this natural feel into them, specifically and especially Amir Two by Ajmal. Finishing this video, guys, let me know in the comments down below, in your opinion, what fragrances everyone should own or at least try. Love to hear your suggestions. If you find value in this video, hit the like button, subscribe, check out all the other fragrance content that I have available. Stay tuned for more fragrance content. See you in the next one. Take care, guys. Ciao.